What's going on, YouTube? How you doing out there? Welcome to another edition of Azar Speaks. I want to talk to you about basically, I want to give some words of encouragement today, particularly to anybody that might be going through foster care or through the adoptive system, adoption or whatever. If you're a ward of the state or anything like that, I want to kind of leave you with some hope today. I grew up as a foster kid myself. As a matter of fact, it wasn't just me, but it was me, my three brothers, my one sister, all my first cousins on my mom's side. It was like 13 of us all together. We all went into foster homes. I don't know, I guess I kind of trace it back to my grandmother because my grandmother, she had three kids, and all of her children's children went into foster homes. So it makes you wonder, okay, what happened? How did she raise her kids or whatever? And that's not to diss my grandmother, rest her soul. I never really got to know my grandmother very well. I remember seeing her just a handful of times. And she died in 1989 of a heart attack. She was still pretty young, too. She was only 62. But I heard she was a little bit of a firecracker, and she, I really don't know too much about it. I really can't say. But the point is this, right? So we all were put into different foster homes and stuff, except for me and my older brother. He's just one step above me, a couple years older. He and I were put in the same foster home. So we went from foster home to foster home together until eventually they, tried to group us more together and ended up with my aunt, who took in four of us. My oldest brother at the time, he had aged out of the system, because he was over 18 at the time. My aunt took in me, two of my brothers, and my sister. And, it was hard for her because she had a kid herself. This is my mom's sister. And she, I think it was just a big load on her, going from one kid to five, just like that, in a matter of, like a month or two or something like that. So it was, and she ended up dying prematurely, which is ironic because she died in 1992. She had a heart attack. She was really young. She wasn't even 40 yet. And her son, my cousin, he ended up going into foster homes. So it was just a really, really tripped out situation, I guess you could say. And I remember, my dad, my biological dad, we were actually in foster homes while he was still alive. And he ended up dying when I was 6 years old. So there was a lot of, different things, different things that played into the scenario of us, growing up and being in the situation that we did, early death and, some of the older family members, whatever, our parents or whatever, drugs, alcohol, things like that. My mom is still around, my biological mom, but she's had some challenges with her health. Particularly her mental health. And so, it's hard for her to really, better take care of herself, much less somebody else, right? So I would imagine that seeing her kids going to foster homes probably didn't help her mental health at all. But, my mom's she's a different kind of woman. I'll tell you that. She's a different kind of woman. And I've had to do a whole little video on her. But that's another time. So, one day when I became a man, late 20s, early 30s, something like that, I was staying with one of my homeboys, sleeping on this couch in the basement, right? I got a college degree and everything, right? But just after I graduated from college, I kind of moved around, ended up staying with my daughter's mom for a couple of times, sister a couple of times, cousin a couple of times, one of my homeboys, my godmother, et cetera, right? Before I finally got my own place and started living on my own. And so still kind of living out some of that foster kid experience, even as a young adult. Because I was used to, moving from place to place. As a matter of fact, my foster father, who I lived with after my auntie, I left my auntie's house and I went to live with him. That was the only foster home I actually chose for myself. I was about 15, 16 years old. The rule in his house was if you live in my house, you have to go to college. I thank God for that rule because had I not lived in this house, I probably wouldn't have went to college. I mean, I was always doing good in school and all that, but taking the initiative to actually go to college, and apply even for college was something I probably would not have done. And so I'm thankful for that because I attribute having a degree to and the whole college experience to kind of broaden my horizons and all that stuff, right? I know that a lot of foster kids, particularly when you're going through that system, it's, there's not always a lot of hope. There's sometimes some abuse and stuff like that, especially for females. The abuse, can take on different forms. But just want to say, hang in there, just hang in there, man. Have some hope, some prayer. One of the things that God told me when I did stay at my homeboy's house, I remember it clear as day. I was on the couch and I woke up crying out of my sleep. God woke me up. He said, "I'm your father now. Let me lead you and guide you." And just a lot of stuff unraveled in that moment for me, man. I realized I was mad at my biological father for not taking care of us, and he couldn't take care of us because he died suddenly, and so I was mad at him for dying. I was like, how do you get mad at somebody for passing away? But I was upset at him, and I didn't even realize it, but I was upset with him for dying. And so, because if he was alive, he could have took care of us. That's my summation, right? If you're alive, man, you can take care of your kids, but, we were in foster homes even when he was alive. So, I don't know, go figure. He had his own issues, I guess. I remember he drank. The few times I did see him, I remember seeing him drink, on a few of those occasions. I'm not sure what else was going on, but he was still pretty young when he died. He wasn't even 40 when he died. So I was like, man, for a long time, him dying at 39, my auntie dying at 39, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King dying at 39. For a long time, I was like, man, I'm probably not going to live to see 40. And, God blessed me. Here I am at 43. And so I just thank God for that. I really, really didn't think I was going to see 40 years old. I thought I was probably going to die around 39 years old. And it was a thought in the back of my mind. I even prepared myself for it kind of mentally, in a sense. Thank God that I'm here. And I also thank God, I have a family. I got a job that supports all 9 of us, my wife, myself, our 7 kids that we have. We're a blended family. So, there's the his, hers, and mine thing going on. So, yeah, that's, I just say stay encouraged. Stay encouraged. There's lots of resources out there. I don't know. I would love to get some foster kids myself. My wife and I, we've talked about it a couple of times. Not ready to take that step just yet, but it is something that I would love to do. I would say, again, what helped me through was a lot of prayer, a lot of mentors, getting in contact or have, God putting the right people in my way, particularly as a kid, but then as an adult, chasing down the right people, I guess you could say, in a sense, even if it's just reading the right books. Sometimes it was just reading the right books, like, the Think and Grow Rich books, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The Richest Man in Babylon, all books that I read, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, things that kind of took my mind in a whole different direction. Don't allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself. You're going through some family things here, but don't feel sorry for yourself. You may never get adopted. You may never find a family. You may age out of the system, and you may have some challenges that come from being in the foster care system and being a ward of the state. But try to stay as positive as you possibly can. Having a relationship with the Lord for me was something that really helped me out just throughout life, So I don't know. I hope these words don't sound empty to you. I hope they're not falling, in deaf ears. I hope you're not saying, hey, you know what, that's all good for you now or whatever. But hey, man, I could tell you some stories. But the point is, now, I was blessed. I did make it through. Still kind of got some challenges. I still sometimes, deal with abandonment issues and things like that. But, for the most part, I would say that things are pretty good considering where I started from and where I am now. I thank God for it, and I'm just want to kind of pass that on. So just a word of encouragement for you. Keep your head up, stay positive. Don't let nobody bring you down at all, not even yourself. So just keep up, just stay up, and let the situation that kind of seems to be a challenge for you, let that make you stronger. So that's all I say. Thanks a lot. I hope this was helpful.